And of course, I will also be referring here and there to reflection, the other very important element of the IPP that goes hand in hand with action. All right. So I have asked Manje to just interrupt me in case my internet connection becomes weak and I become choppy. If you have important questions on the chat, I would like to also ask her to take note of them so that we can answer them at the end of this forum. Although, because we are such a small group, I will try to pause periodically to hear from you. And then I will, of course, not entertain a very long discussion at that point. And then you can reserve it for the end, not just to keep track of the time. So our objectives, can you see my screen? Okay. So for our session today, um, as explained to you, I would like us to think about, to reflect on, and to have a conversation about the why and how of designing for reflection and action. Why are these two elements so critical to effective unit design, effective course design, effective overall curriculum design? And then, because we are focusing on the element of action, I hope that you will have some ideas by the end of this session about how to design action components for your units. All right. So I put here courses. You can design for, when I refer to a course, I'm referring to a subject area uh, for one whole school year, subject area material and or content for one whole school year. So that's like grade 5 math maybe, or grade 7 CLE, things like that. But what I will focus on will be just one unit within your subject area. Okay, these same elements can be used to design one whole school year. Okay, and so I'll just mention that at the end a little bit so that in planning for next school year, you can use these same ideas to start thinking about this for your course for the entire school year 25-26. But for now, we are in the midst of school year 24-25, and you can use um, the things that we will be talking about to design one unit. When I refer to one unit, we are saying that it's not just one lesson, because it's very hard to find a reflection, something to reflect on substantially and meaningfully if it's just one lesson. It's also very hard to find an action component if you are just restricted to one lesson. What if your lesson for the day is, let's say you're teaching grade 2, addition and subtraction, and your lesson for the day is really drills? So you know that if you want your students to master the addition facts or the subtraction facts, there might be days when you are doing mostly drills and worksheets, or maybe flashcards. Uso pa ba yun? I'm giving away my age, even if Jet tried to keep it a secret. Pero dati po may flashcards, no? So where are you going to, where's the reflection there? It's very hard to put in meaningfully and naturally a reflection element, right? So we do not want to focus on one day's lesson only. We will focus on an entire unit, which means a group of related lessons that will take about maybe 5 meetings minimum to about maybe around 15 meetings, something like that. Okay. Too many is too big a unit. less than 5 meetings is too small a unit to really think about where is the reflection, where is the action. All right. Let me pause for a few seconds for you to start digesting how have we organized our material into units. Okay, so let's just think of 1 quarter. What are the units for 1 quarter in your subject matter? Okay, how many units do you have for a quarter? All right, and then you choose one of those units and keep that in mind during our talk today. So let me pause for about 10 seconds so you can gather your thoughts. Okay, so this diagram is familiar to you. This diagram shows the 5 elements of the Ignatian pedagogical paradigm. And the 2 elements that are foundational, that encompass a whole unit of instruction, are context and evaluation. Context is because you have to always be in touch with where your students are at the beginning of the lesson, in the middle of the lesson, as the lesson is playing out. Okay, you always have to know where are my students, and that's why context is indicated in the diagram as encompassing instruction, the whole delivery of instruction. Evaluation is the other side of the coin of context. Because how will you know where your students are if you do not evaluate them? Baka naiwanan mo na sila. Baka ang bilis-bilis ng lesson mo, naiwan na sila. How will you know it if you don't give them constant formative assessment? So you're always evaluating the teaching and learning situation. Are they bored with the way I planned my lesson? Is it too difficult? Have I left them behind? So context and evaluation are important. They encompass the whole teaching, learning, delivery. And then at the center of the instructional delivery are the 3 elements of reflection, action, and experience. And we cannot designate very clearly, this is the first part, this must be experience. That's why there are arrows. What you aim for when you design is an interplay of reflection, action, and experience. And we will talk about that more during this session. So let me start by talking to you about what it really means when we use the phrase design for reflection and action. What is the meaning of design for reflection and action? So I'm sure you have been told you that, and this has been explained to you, the ultimate aim of Jesuit education is action. And actually, when you come to think of it, this should be the aim of any kind of education. In Jesuit education, we use the word action, and we use it to mean men acting, right? Action. So acting as men and women for and with others. So ultimately, it's about being able to think outside of yourself, being able to serve, uh, being able to contribute to society, right? That is the meaning of action in Jesuit education. But as I said, in any education, the ultimate aim is to be able to transfer learning to real world situations, to be able to use what you learned in school even beyond the 4 walls of the classroom, right? So it's not just to pass and then you forget everything, it's to be able to use it in your life. right? So the ultimate aim is action. So we want our students to be able to take important actions in the real world. We want them to be able eventually, after grade 12, but also in their own sphere of influence at whatever age they have at the moment, right? So to be able to take important actions in the real world, maybe for a grade 2, it's to be helpful to mama and papa, right? For the grade 12, it might be more, right? To be able to be prepared for a career in college, and things like that, right? And to do advocacy in the parish, etc. Okay, so this is the aim. And if we want our students to be able to take important actions in the real world, it's not enough for them to just know knowledge and skills. How would you like to have a doctor who has memorized all the books, who topped the board exam, but who cannot think scientifically, who doesn't have research skills, who cannot solve a problem? You would want your doctor to also have all of these, right? You would like to have a doctor who can think critically, who can communicate to you and explain to you. We want to have a doctor who can explain that this seems to be what's wrong with you, and these are our possible options for treating you. And if we treat you this way, these are the effects. But if we treat you this way, so that kind of communication, deep understanding, with like a doctor with empathy and compassion. Also, one with a sense of humor, right? And one who will persist and be patient if you say, doctor, your treatment didn't work, or, things like that. So all of these have to work together. For our students to be able to take important actions in the real world, we mustn't only teach knowledge and skills, they have to have a deeper understanding of the concepts behind the knowledge and skills. And that's why Father Johnny talked to you, I think, about insights. This is why reflection is important, right? So knowledge and skills as well as insights about the most important concepts at the core of each topic. And together with the topics, throughout the school year, we are also developing in the students 21st century skills is the common name, but at GB Seal, we like to say competence. A competence is a set of skills and knowledge that you will use in the real world. So competences in science, like how to use scientific thinking, how to use the scientific process, etc. Right? That is a competence just for science, and there'll be different ones for Araling Panlipunan and different ones for CLE and math and PE, right? As well as the 21st century competences like I named some: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creative thinking. And then you have the values of your school, right? It might be in Ateneo, it's magis, which is a kind of giving as much of yourself as you can to serve others, or going always beyond, right? Things like that, right? So you still have the values. So all of this, we have to teach them how it works together, in one kind of action in the real world. Let me pause here. Many schools, of course, teach knowledge and skills. Even if they don't call it insights, they might be teaching concepts, not just the facts, not just the dates, etc. They might be teaching important concepts. They might also be addressing once in a while critical thinking, and the values, right? But is it done intentionally? And that is what we are asking you to do. By thinking of how do we put in reflection and action, then you are um, addressing these more intentionally. Okay, so let me again pause here for maybe just 5 seconds for you to take this in, assimilate it, try to think of it. In my context, do I understand this? Do I have questions about this? How is this applicable to me? All right. So how is this applicable to you? And I think when I was talking to Je, she's telling me that that is what you're concerned about, right? And so let me try and give you some specific examples. So when you're preparing your lesson, you need to think about what are the objectives of my lesson, right? And so this first question, you always think about. What knowledge and skills should my students learn? And when we're talking about lesson objectives or unit objectives, this is what you usually think about. And we're saying in learning by refraction and the IPP, you need two more kinds of goals. These are the knowledge and skills goals. You need an action goal, and you also need to aim for reflection. So as you think about what knowledge and skills should my students learn, you should also think about, because of this topic, what action should my students be able to do beyond the classroom in the real world? Why is my lesson important for the real world? Okay. And the last question you should think about as your aim for the lesson is, what important concepts should my students explore and reflect on? These we will call your reflection goals. And you've heard these words. For your reflection goals, you were told by Father Johnny, you have to identify insights, and your goal is to make your students start to understand and arrive at those insights. That's why I'm calling it a goal. You will also have as a goal reflection questions. What questions do I want my students to keep exploring? So you will identify insights, you will identify reflection questions, and you will identify action goals, and I will talk to you about that during this talk. Okay? So let's start to think about action. Think of your unit. I asked you to identify one unit in your course, right? So think of that unit. Why is it important for students to take up your unit? Beyond just they might need it someday, okay? I'll explain why I worded it this way. I was a high school math teacher for a long time, and especially when I was teaching higher math, my students would ask me questions like, Ma'am, saan ba namin gagamitin itong cube root? Okay? Ano ba itong usefulness ng cube root? Gagamitin ba namin ito pag namalengke kami? And of course, you will need that someday. Yan na lang, sinasabi ko. Bagong teacher ako noon. Hindi ko rin alam ang sagot. So, unless they take math in college or engineering, in my head, I was thinking, I'll just tell them, someday you will need that. So beyond that, why is your unit important? Okay? So yung unit ko dito is exponential functions and the roots, right? Ano yung unit ninyo na napapag-isipan ninyo for this talk? And why is that important? Okay, I'll give you a minute to think about it. No, just a few seconds, sorry. Okay, so here is a teacher. Her unit is about, is she's an English teacher, and the unit is about point of view. Right? So, di ba po, merong different points of view when you're reading a story or when you're writing, right? It can be the omniscient point of view. Not all of us here are English teachers, but it's like this impersonal point, or it can be told by, let's say, a grandfather, and it's the story of the grandfather. So, it's the grandfather's point of view. So, this story is about point of view. Ang action goal ng teacher na yon is for the students to be able to see the points of view of others. That's the action goal. That's the answer to the question, beyond the test, why is it important for your student to take up this unit? So that the teacher has two action goals. One is for the student to be able to see the points of view of others, and for the student to be able, so this is the English. It is very much an English subject action goal, to look for evidence to support a claim in the text. So to look for evidence from the story to support a claim. If you look at the things written on the right side, they are insights and reflection questions. So ang reflection question na gusto ng teacher ipa-explore sa estudyante are, what are the points of view in this story? So this teacher is going to use this story called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the story, but this is a version of The Three Little Pigs. And here, the author is A. Wolf. Actually, ang totoong author nito is John Shiska, but nilagay niya dito by A. Wolf. Kasi ang story na to is about, sinasabi ni John Shiska na meron ding version ng kwento si Mr. Wolf. At ito ang version niya. Okay? So actually, ang version ni Mr. Wolf is parang wrongly accused ako. Actually, inosente ako kasi wala akong mali siya. Actually, nung day na yon, I had a very bad cold. So hatching ako ng hatching. Hindi ko naman kasalanan kung hindi nila, yung mga bahay nila hindi masyadong sturdy ang pagka-build, di ba? So humatching ako, tapos na-blow yung unang house, namatay pa yung pig, tapos ako ang binibintangan nila. So yan yung kwento nito, di ba? So that's the point of view of Mr. Wolf. It's very different from the point of view of the three little pigs. So what are the points of view? And the insight is the other person may tell a different story. And the other question that the teacher wants them to think about is, whose stories do we never hear? And if you look here, ito na yung value. Built-in siya. Hindi na po pilit. Whose stories do we never hear? Is there a student in the class na laging walang namamansin doon sa estudyante na yon? Whose stories do we never hear? And here's the insight. Each one of us has a story worth telling and listening to. These are the action goals. These are the reflection goals. And of course, the knowledge and skills goals are about knowing the characters, etc. Plus, knowing the point of view of the storyteller. So, ito ang goals ng teacher pag umpisa pa lang niya mag-design ng lesson. Imagine how rich that lesson would be. Kakaiba po. Just with the addition of an action goal and a reflection goal. So that immediately there are built-in values, respect and love for others. Hindi na po pilit. And this is an Ignatian value. In Jesuit schools, we have 4 C's: compassion, commitment, conscience, and what is the other, Je? Ipa-fire ako ni Father Johnny. Natataranta na ako. Na-traffic ako kanina. Okay? But this one is compassionate commitment, but in the reading subject. Let me pause for a while for you to think about the value of a reflection goal and an action goal in addition to knowledge and skills goals. I'll give one more example right after this. Math. I need to give a math example because I used to be a math teacher, but I also want, kasi ano dinidefend ko ang reputation ng math. Kasi lagi nilang sinasabi, hindi yan pwede sa math. So I need to prove na pwede rin po sa math. Okay? So I am thinking about a grade 6 unit on ratio and proportion, including percent, review of percent. And I put that all together to make one unit. And my action goal is to be able to interpret data and use these to discern and make wise decisions. Because there's so much data about climate change. And if we look at this, for grade 6 and 7, I might invite a science teacher or ask the science teacher if they have taken up carbon dioxide emissions. But there are so many other kinds of data on things that aren't related to science. But let me just talk about this now. Here you see a whole number, a big one, with many zeros, right? Sa place value niya, right? So trillions na tayo. You see a decimal number, you see a percent, you see another decimal number here. So madali nang ituhog-tuhog yung different forms of number na na-take up na nila, right? And so I am giving them numbers here that are the carbon dioxide emissions, population. Okay, it doesn't have to be this technical. I'll give you more examples later. But here are my math insights. Okay, my first reflection question is, what stories do these numbers tell? And they will tell you that they're grade 6, and they will tell you, oh, China has the most pollution. Why? Why do you think that's so? Because ang daming manufacturing doon, di ba? Ganyan. So these tell stories. Also because their population is so big, ganyan. So maraming kwento dito. What stories do these numbers tell? And then because it's about numbers telling a story, I can talk to them about, ito ang numbers sa China. Baka naman sa big cities ng China, Beijing, ganyan, nanggagaling ang karamihan nito, hindi sa rural areas. So pag sineperate mo yung numbers ng city, urban, at saka rural, when you disaggregate the data, baka ibang kwento ng rural sa urban. Pero pag pinagsama-sama mo yan, parang yan ang kwento, di ba? So that is the other insight I want them to get. The other question is, whose stories are not represented here? Philippines is not in this list, not the one I'm showing you. It's lower down, right? And so the insight is, never forget the faces and lives behind these numbers. So remember, my action goal is to be able to interpret data and use this to discern and make wise decisions. These are my reflection questions. These are my possible insights. And this is my valuing for math. Okay, and again, I pause here. uh, our section, this part was about, is in the orange circle. What does it mean to design for reflection and action? And I'd like you in your notebook, I'll pause for 1 minute, write in your own words. It doesn't have to be a whole sentence. It can just be bullet points for you. Anong ibig sabihin ng design for reflection and action? Does it mean more depth, more valuing? What does it mean for you? More meaning for the students? All right. So maybe if any of you want to unmute, and if I can just have one or two to share, maybe, and then we'll go on. And if you'd like to share yours at the end, if we are not able to cover yours, can I have one or two to share thoughts so far about what it means to design for reflection and action?
Hi, ma'am.
Yes.
I'll try to answer, ma'am.
Yes.
For me is more on what does it mean to design for reflection and action. For me is more on connections
Yes.
to make it more relevant and meaningful.
Excellent. Excellent. And that's the first step towards student engagement. Many times we think student engagement happens because we had a nice game or a nice song or we told a funny joke. But if those are our only ways to engage students, then after we do those things, wala na, bored na naman sila. So it needs to start from connection, meaning. Thank you very much, Ma Sofia. Excellent. Anyone else? One more. No wrong answers.
Yung math coordinator daw.
Yes. Na-volunteer po kayo. Would you like to share?
Sir Ramil, kayo ba yan?
Kayo po. Okay po. For me is to design for reflection action is to let the students apply what they have learned from the concepts and the knowledge and skills that they have learned from the concepts or from the unit topic.
Very good, right? And isn't that what we want? Yung po ang gusto natin mangyari para after the test, hindi nila makakalimutan after 2 days or 1 week. Kasi we prepare them. They will be able to apply. Excellent. All right. So we continue. And in this portion, we want to I'd like to share with you, how do we do it? How do we design for action? And so we have what we call some mindset shifts, right? And one of them is we need to shift from what should I teach? Kasi pag yun ang question natin sa sarili natin, pag nagdi-design tayo ng unit, what should I teach? Ang magiging sagot is ganito, right? So here, I don't know if you can see, it's really tiny, but it says at the end of the unit, TSWBAT is the students will be able to express one value as a fraction of another given their ratio and vice versa. Di ba po yung example ko is a ratio and proportion unit. Define and illustrate the meaning of ratio and proportion using concrete or pictorial models, etc. Okay? So ang sagot sa what should I teach? Ganyan. Knowledge and skills. But if we shift from what should I teach to what should my students learn and what actions should my students be able to do in the real world, then we are going to say, kailangan nilang matutunan lahat ito because they need it to make sense of real world data to be able to make wise decisions. So this is your action goal. And this is the answer if you shift from just thinking about what should I teach to what should my students learn. And so when we're talking about being student-centered, you saw here that the verb, the subject changed from I, the teacher, to my students. What should they learn? So, pag nag-mindset shift kayo ng ganito, pati yung, hindi lang pala pwede akong mag-lecture kasi hindi nila matututunan, hindi nila, kung ang definition natin ng learn is they will be able to apply, hindi mangyayari yun eh. Kung masyado lang ako mag-lecture, tapos konting drills, konting discussion, baka hindi mangyari. Malamang hindi mangyayari yon, di ba? So that's the importance of shifting from what should I teach to what should my students learn. So why do you need to teach this? So that they can make sense, so that they will learn how to make sense of real world data. So that when they look at the numbers all around them, the numbers are all around them now. Maski sa Facebook nila, makikita nila yung number of likes. Marunong na ang mga bata tumingin sa analytics, sa mga social media pages nila. And there's so much data around them. So this data, and you can use this in your lesson, something like teen social media usage. And you can help them figure this out. And you can ask them, totoo ba ito na more than once a day? Mas madami, 70%. So you're using percent here, and you are teaching them to make sense of real world data by using the lesson, which is on percent, ratio, proportion, fractions, decimals, right? There's so much around them. At the time of COVID, you could have talked to them in the newspapers. There's so much in Google, right? 0.06% of total number of cases, blah, 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 blah. So, yon, maraming data around them. Marami silang mapag-uusapan. Marami kayong mapag-uusapan. And they are real world data. And you're helping the students see that the lesson is important because they need to be able to make sense of real world data. This is the action goal, right? So this is the action goal. Another version of that action goal for ratio and proportion pa rin. So yung isang teacher, baka gusto niyang make sense of real world situations, ang wording niya. And here is another set of data. It's about slavery in Asia Pacific. And you can ask the children, 30 million enslaved people today. Children, do we still have slaves today? In Asia Pacific, 30 million? Is that a big number or a small number? And then the children will say, it sounds like a very big number. How do you know it's big? Because it's more than half of the global total in Asia Pacific alone. So by using percent, you're teaching them to make sense of real world data, right? So these are the prompts. Don't mind the word in green. Let's just think of action goals. I don't want to introduce too many terms at this point. So action goals, we'll just use this title on top. What should students know, understand, and be able to do even beyond the classroom? Okay, so please start answering this for your unit. Okay, I'll give you some other versions. I said already, why is your course important beyond just that they might need it someday, or it's in the NAT, or it's in the entrance test for college? Another way to ask yourself is, what are the long-term, worthwhile, and complex challenges in math, in thinking mathematically, right? And the real world. So when you think mathematically, you have to make sense of real world data. Okay? And on top is yet another way. So lahat po ng nasa slide dito are just different ways that you can arrive at your action goal. Ang isang way is tatanungin ninyo, kailangan ba ito ng estudyante ko 40 days from now? 40 days from now means baka 2 units from now, kailangan na nila yung lesson mo, right? For your next units. 40 months from now, so meaning kung grade 5 sila, baka kailangan nila ito sa grade 6 or grade 7. 40 years from now, baka kailangan nila ito sa life nila. Okay. So, pause lang, 5 seconds. I'll give you more examples of action goals in the different subject areas. But start thinking, yung unit na pinili ninyo, ano ang mga sagot sa question? Sa prompts. You can choose any of these prompts. So, in other words, I'm asking you, what is your action goal for your unit? Example in CLE. Instead of just to identify and explain the parts of the mass, because that's a knowledge and skills goal, not an action goal. An action goal might be you want your students to know the parts of the mass so that they can, in the real world, regularly participate in the mass despite being not in the mood, because you know that God is there. It's your community gathering to give thanks, etc. Right? That's the action goal. Knowledge and skills goals, unit on nutrition, might be to know the food pyramid. I don't know if this is Filipino, probably not. So that, this is the action goal, so that the student will be able in the real world to be more scientific in how he or she eats, so that he or she can eat and have a diet that's sustainable and healthy. Pwede ring medyo iba. So in other words, the reason why I'm giving you 2 examples for the same unit is because it's up to you. There's no, mali yung action goal mo. It's up to you what your action goal is because that means iba ang treatment mo. Magiging iba ang treatment mo. So here, use scientific principles to adopt a sustainable, healthy diet. The treatment here is more, what's a healthy diet? Okay, and is it sustainable? So just for my own example, a healthy diet is mostly vegetables and very little sweets. But excuse me po, hindi ko po kaya yon lalo na pag Christmas kasi talagang may sweet tooth ako. So kaya ko lang yon siguro mga 3 araw, tapos susungitan ko na lahat ng tao dito. So hindi yon sustainable sa akin. So that's a worthy lesson for me, for the teacher to teach us. How about for you? What is sustainable and healthy? What does it mean, sustainable, healthy? So magiging ganon ang approach ng teacher because that's the real world goal the teacher chose. Here, iba ang goal ni teacher. It's to teach the students that whenever they read about keto diet, intermittent fasting, kung ano-anong klaseng diet, can they critically evaluate kung tama ba yung kine-claim ng diet na yon? Akma ba ang diet na to para sa akin according to those nutritional claims? So medyo magiging iba ang treatment ng teacher, but same topic. So you can see it's very useful to the student. So what is the use of your lesson, right? Economics. The student will be able to learn macro, micro economic stuff. Hindi po ako economist. So this is the action goal. And this can be different for another teacher. To critically appraise the stand of our political candidates on important economic issues and make an informed choice of who to vote for based on that candidate's economic stand. So magiging mabuti ba ang senador na to? Kung maging senador siya, magiging mabuti ba ang plano niya for our economic, whatever, well-being of the country? Ma-alleviate ba ang poverty? Mag-grow ba niya yung industry? Sana ang pagturo ko ng economics, matututunan yon ng estudyante. Yan ang goal ng teacher na to. Yung teacher na iba, baka sa topic na to, iba naman ang real world application niya. Nevertheless, it's a worthy goal. It's for the real world. It's for application. Here are more examples, and I'll just allow you to read them and to start thinking. So the next slide is this, right? In fact, let me change this now. What is a possibility for your action goal? Okay, so that's my question to you. What is your action goal? What is a possible wording for your action goal? Okay, eto pa, may mga examples pa dito. So I'll stop for 3 minutes. Please read this and then start writing an action goal for the unit that you chose. Okay. So please note that these are action goals, right? Application goals in the real world. Something they'll need to do in the real world. Ah, so even the last one, hindi lang ito parang assignment pang teacher, right? You might want to narrate the life story of your father. Let's say it's your father's a special birthday, like 70th birthday or 60th birthday or 80th birthday. And you are giving him a tribute. You have a party, family is there, and you're going to tell very briefly the achievements of your father. So, posibleng um, magamit ito sa real life. Hindi lang ito pang submit to teacher. Okay? Because kung pang submit lang siya sa teacher, hindi siya action goal. So, quiz. Okay. I'm teaching a unit. I'm a CLE teacher and I'm teaching a creation unit to grade 3 students. Okay. Which of the 5 goals here would make good action goals? There's more than one good answer here, okay? So which of these would make good action goals? Okay, study it for a while, and then I'll ask anybody to unmute and make a guess. Give me a reason why it's good. Give me a reason why you didn't choose the others. You didn't choose the others. Okay, anyone? Which of these would make good action goals for a grade 3 unit about creation? Let's just try.
Ma'am Rita, siguro let's call on Mr. Joseph Maway because he answered on on
Okay.
text.
Sige, Sir Joseph.
Hello po ma'am, good evening po.
Evening.
I chose number 3 po ma'am kasi for me it's sort of kasi as number 3 reads, know how much God loves us through His creation and thank God for life and for His marvelous creation. Parang it's like they appreciate the creation of God and
Yes.
then they were able to thank God for this life given to them.
Yes. So that's why you're teaching them the creation unit. Very good, right? I agree with you. Okay? Pwede rin ang number 1. Diba? Pwede rin number 1. So for me, I feel number 1 and 3 would make good action goals. 1 and or 3. Right? So, kung number 3 ang action goal mo, kailangan ituro mo yung unit in such a way na malalaman, mako-connect nila yung first day, God made this. Second day, God made this. Kailangan mako-connect nila dun sa that's why that's why we know God loves us. So kailangan yung connection na yon, you will have to establish that because this is your action goal. So it will influence the way you design your unit. If you choose number 1 as your action goal, then you have to connect it to the action. Like maybe you'll talk more first about pets. Yung pets ng mga bata. Para ma-connect mo yung I really want to start caring for God's creation. So that's a different way of designing your unit, right? So my question now is, bakit hindi magandang action goal ang number 2? Anyone? So, kunyari, hindi ako makagawa ng poster. Kunyari, pangit ako mag-drawing. Actually, hindi kunwari. Pangit. I don't draw well. Right? So, does that mean palpak na yung unit ninyo? Hindi, di ba? Pang teacher lang to eh. This is a task. This can be a task. But it's not the big takeaway of your unit. Right?
Actually,
Number 5 is an activity. It's an activity that you can make them do so that number 3 or number 1 will happen. And number 2 is good, but making a prayer of thanks, baka hanggang dun lang. Baka after that, hindi na niya i-care for yung creation niya. Right? So 1 and 3 are the best answers for this. Okay? Questions? Okay, so very good. Okay, so I'll pause again here. Can I go on? Our next part is how do we assess action? Okay, so any questions on how to make your action goal? Now, the next part is you've made your action goal. Kailangan malaman ninyo kung natupad na yung action goal nyo. Iba yung action goal na yun, di ba? Imagine, look at the action goal that Sir Joseph chose for the creation unit, right? It's know how much God loves you through his creation. How will you assess this? Kaya ba to ng quiz? Fill in the blanks? Hindi, di ba? Kasi sabi nga nung isang grade 3 student, narinig ko siya, naghihintay siya during dismissal, wala pa siyang sundo, kinausap niya yung kaklase niya, I have to write an essay. Di ko alam nga kung anong subject eh. Sabi ng girl, just put there something about Jesus and something about love. You will get a high answer. Ma'am Ivy, I love you. Si Ma'am Ivy, bentang-benta yung ibang jokes ko. Okay?
may sagot dito, sabi, may tanong pala dito. Ang sabi, kailangan ba isa lang ang action goal per unit or pwedeng more than one? That's
Pwedeng more than one kung kaya mong itupad.
And how do we know that our action goal is correct?
You go back to this. Talk to your colleagues in your subject area. Sinasagot ba niya ang at least one of this? You can use the 40-40-40. Okay. So, paano natin malalaman na alam na ng mga bata that God loves them through their creation? How do we assess action, right? How do we assess proficiency for an action? Again, we have some shifts. And in the book, Learning by Refraction, we recommend 3 shifts in designing assessment for the action goal. Okay, remember, what we are assessing is the action goal. Kasi ang assessment ng knowledge and skills, malamang kaya na yon sa maybe fill in the blanks, multiple choice, for a skill demo, right? So if the skill you're teaching them is to write a prayer of thanks, small skill, write a prayer of thanks, you can just ask them, write a prayer of thanks, and then you can grade it. Maganda bang prayer? Meron bang thank you dun sa prayer? Does it show gratitude for ganito? Right? So, ang knowledge and skills can be assessed through things like a demo, a short answer essay, fill in the blanks, multiple choice. So if the goal you're assessing is knowledge and skills goals, pwede po yun. Tama po yun. Valid. Valid assessment. If you're assessing whether your student has reached an insight, remember Father Johnny told you, so nag-reflect na ba ang estudyante na to? Na-deepen na ba ang understanding niya ng insights? You can assess that maybe through an essay, maybe through a drawing, or maybe it might not come out in the drawing, but a drawing that the student will explain, or that might be a way to assess understanding of a reflection goal. But how do you assess an action goal? So we recommend 3 shifts. One is from application later to application now. The next is out of context to in context application. I will explain all of these. I raised my hand. I don't know how I raised my hand. Okay, wala na. And the last is simple to complex performance, and I'll explain each of these, okay? So the application later, and not just application later, but application now, is this. If you look at this, this is an example, okay? If you look at this image, this is like a Spanish language class, okay? So let's say Filipino, okay? If you assess whether the student can speak the language by giving a fill in the blanks or a short response answer, this is application later. Kasi ang objective dito is for the student to be able to talk Spanish. But your assessment is not, kaya na ba itong mag-talk ng Spanish? Maski mali-mali, but at least he's starting to talk, right? But if you give a quiz like, what, there's a letter, querida amiga, mi nombre es Rosa, y yo soy de Adams, blah, 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 adios, Rosa. And the assessment is a quiz, right? Or a test. What is the selection? An essay, a letter, or a song? How can you tell? So ang sagot ng estudyante is, this is a letter because it says, dear, querida, blank. So if the student gets high here, does that mean the student can do the action, which is to speak Spanish? No. So here's the student. What if the student is given a task where pretend you're a tourist in Spain and may scenario at ipapa-converse ninyo yung bata. So mas malalaman ninyo dito na yung action goal na student can talk Spanish, even very simple words only, this is more of the assessment, and this is what we call an authentic assessment. So now pa lang, ngayon pa lang, maski hindi pa marunong yung estudyante ng madaming vocabulary in Spanish, because your action goal is to be able to talk Spanish, to speak in Spanish, then you have to assess whether the student can speak in Spanish. That's why you have to be careful about how you word your action goal. So if your word is say simple phrases in Spanish, it still has to be conversation. Okay? So ngayon pa lang, application now, kailangan sila magsalita. Okay? Here's another example. English, it's about being able to write simple stories. And one teacher in a school that I work with, I consult with, that does hires me as their consultant, the grade 2 teacher was telling me, Ma'am, mali-mali pa yung spelling at saka hindi pa sila marunong ng correct grammar. And in my head, it's like, hihintayin mo ba hanggang marunong sila ng lahat nun bago mo sila actually magsulat ng story. You don't need to wait the application later. You can apply now. So here's the story because your goal is not correct spelling. If the lesson objective is correct spelling, mali itong assessment na to. But the action goal here was for the child to be able to tell stories. So even if the spelling is wrong, see, the teacher corrected the spelling under, but the student is now able to tell a story. Here's the last example for application later versus application now. This is the Predis Orchestra of St. Scholastica's College. I think St. Scho has closed this since then. This was a few years ago, and my granddaughter took up summer classes in cello, how to play the cello. So she was a beginner. This was probably her second summer. She's still a beginner. She only knows the most basic songs. But St. Scho made them already perform in an orchestra. So she really felt like, I know, I play in an orchestra. Lola, I play in an orchestra. So nandun siya, sa pinakadulo doon. Di ko na nga makita kung saan siya doon. Right? Because all the beginners were put there. Pero nakatikim na sila ng orchestra. Hindi na hinintay ng teacher na complicated na yung alam nila before giving them a chance to play in a youth orchestra. Siyempre may numbers yung mga beginners na very simple, pero na-experience nila rin yung playing in an entire orchestra. So tinuruan sila, look at the conductor. Pag sinabi niyang ganyan, dyan kayo papasok. Those were all taught to them. So even if they didn't know enough, they were able to apply now. So that's why your performance task was mandated by DepEd, so that your students can do now. Not what I told my student, balang araw, magagamit din niyo yan. Diba? Hindi yun. Okay? And it's not even a weird project at the end of the... So now we try to think more in performance tasks because our student can do it now. Okay. Now, this is also, the three examples I gave you are also my explanation for in-context application. So my granddaughter got to really play it the way a musician would play it. This is the context of you learning your pieces. This is the context of you telling a story. She made a little book with little illustrations and gave it to the mama. And now when you go to Spain, you will still at least be able to ask for directions. Kasi pag nandun na po kayo, maski madaming action para lang maintindihan kayo kasi mali-mali pa yung pagsalita ninyo, at least nagagamit ninyo. Right? So it's in context. And so this is my question to you. Do you use grasps in performance tasks? Why do you use grasps? Anybody? Anyone? Why do you use grasps?
Mandated by DepEd. Naku, yan ang sagot nila, Ritz.
Okay, yan lang ang maling answer. Na yan ang sagot ng lahat ng participants ng lahat ng workshops pag tinatanong ko ito. Kasalanan po yan ng DepEd. Hindi po ninyo kasalanan kasi hindi nila in-explain kung bakit nila minandate yan. Okay. The reason is because of number 2. Because this gives you the context. And this is how you know, kasi kunyari yung action goal ninyo is feel the urge. Remember, we're back to our creation, okay? Let's say your action goal is feel the urge to care for creation. How will you measure that? You have to give a context in the real world and then you will see ano ang magiging reaction ng estudyante. Right? So it's like, so that's why you give a goal, a role, okay? And then you say, naglalakad ka, you are a little boy, your role is, you're a little boy, naglalakad ka, the situation is naglalakad ka sa street, pauwi sa inyo from school, and marami kang nakikitang stray dogs and stray cats and yung mga ganyan. And so you're giving a situation because ang sagot ng estudyante based on that situation will tell you, right? Not like in a quiz. In a quiz, very set yun eh. Okay? In the quiz, it's like the boy saw the dog. Which shows compassion? A, the boy kicked the dog. B, the boy, di ba? Hindi yun in context eh. Ano yun eh, very set. Out of context yun. So ito, may sitwasyon, tas i-assess ninyo anong gagawin ng bata sa sitwasyon na to. Now look at this picture I put here. Okay? The lesson is in English, and the lesson is about introducing yourself. Now, the situation is, inimbita ka ng pinsan mo to meet her friends. O inimbita, you're the girl, let's say you're the girl, and inimbita ka ng pinsan mo to meet his classmates in school. Let's say all boys school. How will you introduce yourself to the friends of your cousin? Okay? Look at the situation. Kung ang sitwasyon is you are applying for a job, how will you introduce yourself? In-expect ninyo na iba ang sagot. At makikita ninyo na naiintindihan ng estudyante based on I gave a goal, a role, an audience, a situation. What action will my student do? You get it? And actually, that's the higher order thinking here. That's it. Okay? So, in context, and you use the grasps to make sure about the context versus out of context. Okay? I will go a little faster in the other slides. I know, Miss J, am I over time already?
Not yet.
Okay. Last one. Okay, konting pahinga. Baka nano-nosebleed na kayo. Okay, think about 1 and 2 first. Think of your PETAs, your performance tasks. And just try to appreciate that the reason why you're giving a performance task is it's application now, and you're trying to make it authentic so that it will be in context in a way that they can apply it now, even if they are not yet at their grade level, they're not yet really experts. Okay, the last one is from simple to complex. I could easily have said, not lower order blooms, but higher order blooms. But that is very misleading. So instead, I'll say, not simple, but complex. And in our book, we make a distinction between difficulty level and complexity of performance. Because many teachers, when they design an assessment that is more complex, Ang iniisip nila is kailangan mas mahirap. That's not true. So in the book, the example we give is it can be easy subject matter, but still complex. It can be difficult subject matter, but still simple. Okay, so let's discuss that. So easy subject matter, let's just say living cell. The way it's discussed in grade school, just the parts of the cell. If you tell the students to just enumerate it, that's only simple performance. That's easy subject matter and simple performance. Even if the subject matter is easy, a good assessment of action will give an assessment that's complex. So the topic of mean, median, and mode is considered easy because many students, in giving the mean, they'll just use the formula for average or mean and then fill in the, and for median, they'll just list all the numbers in order, then they'll just pick the middle one, etc. Right? And for mode, they'll just look for the one that's most often, the number that's repeated most often. And then they don't really understand what it's about. So this is easy, but the complex performance is, when is it best to use mean, median, and mode to represent measures of central tendency? Explain and give an example. So easy subject matter ito. Ang simple performance nito siguro po is given the 7 numbers listed below, what is the mean, what is the median, what is the mode? Madali po yun. Simple performance. Just use the formula. Mas complex performance, when is it best to use mean, median, and mode? Sa grades, computation of grades. Mean ba ang pinakamaganda? Median ba ang pinakamaganda? Magandang tanungin yan sa mga estudyante. Kasi kunyari, the student gets mostly just average grades, tapos isa lang yung pinakamataas niyang grade. Outlier yun eh. So sa median, hindi na makakount yung high. One nakachamba siya. Diba? Nakachamba lang siya eh. Ganon. So magandang diskusyon yon. Complex performance yon. Sir Ramil, mali ba? Biglang nag-on camera si Sir Ramil, na nervyos ako. Sabi ko, naku, baka mali. Okay? So that's the meaning, right? I have a very nice example for you. Sa Matatag po, may engineering design na. I don't know if you're already using Matatag. If you've studied Matatag, we already are being asked to do engineering. I went to a school in the States, and in kindergarten, they have a STEM program. So kindergarten, they were taking up the engineering design process. Kindergarten po to. And the teacher thought of the action goal to be able to identify and propose a solution to an engineering problem in their environment. Ito po yung lesson niya. She told the story of the 3 billy goats graph. If you don't know that story, it's about the billy goats. They ate all the grass on the side of the hill. Naubos na yung grass sa hill na to. May river dito, may hill sa kabila. Marami pang hill, damo doon sa kabila. Kaya lang may river. So tinanong ng teacher, what is the problem? What is the problem that needs to be solved by building something? Hindi niya dinefine ng engineering, pero binigay niya ang essence ng engineering. What is the problem that can be solved by building something? So the next step of the engineering process is to brainstorm solutions. The students chose 2, build a boat or build a bridge. Boat or bridge. Next stage of the engineering process, plan and design. So here are the plans of the students. They built and they tested it. Sorry. Saan na ba yun? They built and they tested it even with just popsicle sticks. So, syempre, pretend. And they found, they chose the best solution. The teacher made it easy subject matter. Actually, it's difficult subject matter. Nevertheless, for kindergarten, she gave them complex performance because she actually made them solve the engineering problem faced by the three Billy Goats graph in a way that was appropriate for kindergarten students. So when you are designing authentic assessment, whether it's easy subject matter or difficult subject matter, we want you to stay here. Complex. Okay. Example in math, functions. So this is the assessment. The teacher called it my functional autobiography. Sorry, the font, I should have made that white. And the teacher's task is tell us more about yourself, your present and your past using functions. In doing so, you must use at least one of each of the representations because iba-iba pong representation nito ng functions. It's either by language, mapping, or ordered pairs, a table, a graph, and an equation. Use a minimum of 5 functional relationships. At least one of them must be an exponential function. Consider the domain and range of your functions, explain why. So anyway, that's for the math people to understand. But this is one of the functions chosen by the student. Again, I'm so sorry, I changed the background and I forgot to change the graph. Here is the graph. It is like going up like that, and it's the height at each age. The height at age 2, 4. So sa biography niya, kinikwento po niya, ito ang linear function niya, more or less linear function of how she grew taller at each age. So that's very authentic. It is complex because siya ang pipili, siya ang mag-iisip, ano pa ba yung functions sa buhay ko, etc. So that's difficult subject matter, but also complex performance. For science, if you're talking about the particulates of matter, if you give them something like test the biodegradability of the different types of masks, this was COVID time, and make some recommendations, again, that's complex performance. Okay? CLE, convince your family to have Bible study time and conduct the Bible study. Mahirap po yun. Iko-convince niya yung family niya. Siyempre, kung ako yon, actually, nagalit ako sa sister ko nung bata pa ako kasi pinipilit niya ako to join a recollection ng kanyang, nasa UP na po siya, nasa high school pa lang ako, meron siyang group doon, lagi silang may prayer group, pinipilit niya ako, ayaw ko naman. Pa? So, imagine she has to convince me na importante ang Bible study time. Very authentic yan. Ganyan. Pa? Science. Let's do this. English. Persuasive writing. You feel that your allowance is not enough for your expenses for school. After carefully considering that your family really has a very tight budget, but you also want your father to raise your allowance. Study what would be a reasonable increase and prepare a persuasive argument for your parents. Napaka-complex po, di ba po, Ma'am Caressa? Parang palpak, no? Kung ang passing grade dito is binigyan ka ng raise, baka marami pong bumagsak. Pero very authentic po, di ba po? Okay? So, authentic, right? So let me just point out that please don't think you have to make it very authentic, very in context, very complex. We have a lot of constraints. We have time constraints. Baka hindi po natin ma-prepare yung student fully for that. Kasi wala na po tayong time. Congested pa rin po ang curriculum natin. So, please decide. As long as you make an intentional decision, if you look at this continuum, very authentic is on the extreme right. Very drill-like is on the extreme left. Just move as much to the right as you can. So if you are the cooking teacher and your goal is sustainably cook nutritious and delicious meals for my family, the most authentic is probably you'll give the students a budget, you'll make a menu, they'll shop for the ingredients and cook the meals for a week. Baka hindi po kaya yan, although that's the most authentic. So we can reduce the authenticity. Okay na lang po yun. Kasi under constraints tayo eh. So baka lang make one dish, present its nutritional value, and get the feedback of your family. Drill-like is what we would like to avoid for measuring an action goal. Explain the benefits of the Filipino food pyramid and give an example of a meal that follows the pyramid. But if we have to, then at least yung give an example of a meal that follows the pyramid. Pwede na po yun. Just know that you intentionally did not make it authentic, maybe because of time constraints, or this is not your priority topic. Maybe your next topic is more important and you would like to give that more time. But know that as a teacher, you can go along that continuum. When you're assessing an action goal, the more you go to the right, the more valid it is as an assessment of an action goal. Okay? So actually, I think we're pretty done. Maybe I'll give one last math example that shows you how all of it comes together. For now, I'll pause for just maybe another 20 seconds and allow you to take it all in. And then I'll just have maybe 5 more quick slides where it all comes together. And again, I'm using math because it's the hardest, right, to find reflection goals for. So I use it so that you can see that even in math, it can be done. Okay, so I'll keep quiet so you can think about what we've discussed so far. Okay, so this is because of the request of Je. So Je said, they really want to know how it all comes together. I've given you 2 examples in the beginning, the big bad wolf and the making sense of data. Here's another example in math. And here, the action goal is at the end of the unit, the student will be able to apply knowledge of perimeter, area, and volume to make efficient use of spaces around him or her. And the reflection question, there's 1 and 3 possible insights. Reflection question is for this figure, right? So we're talking about perimeter, area, and volume. So it's geometric figures we're talking about. For this figure and for this context, do I need to find perimeter, area, or volume? How do I know? So if you're doing a real application, this is the insight that you need, right? So the first insight is, even if you rearrange, like if you cut up an object, like a square, if you cut it up and you rearrange it, the size remains the same, and so does the area. And, you know, so, and then one is when measuring area, the second insight is when measuring area, 2-dimensional units such as squares are needed to cover the surface. And when measuring volume, you need to think 3-dimensional. So to be able to get evidence that the students understand these insights, this is the task of the teacher. So this is not the performance task. This is just the evidence of Naiintindihan na ba nila ang insights and reflection question? So the teacher gave this picture and said, you have a small apartment or a small house only. You don't have a garden, but you want the inside of your house to be green. So you bought this four-tier planter. So parang shelf siya na apat. How much space does this generate? So the student now has to think, am I measuring area, perimeter, or volume? Okay. And how else can you generate space to green your home? And how much space do this generate? So kunyari daw maghahang kayo ng plant from the ceiling. Paano may measure ng extra space for a little garden there on top hanging? So talaga mag-iisip yung estudyante, di ba? Paano kayo measure? Area, volume, perimeter. And then you can talk to them about how much space was generated by the rice terraces, by carving this space out. How would you measure this? You ask the children. And of course, you won't ask them to actually measure it, but you'll just talk about area, perimeter, how much space did this generate, right? And then you might talk about ways to generate green areas, even in a concrete jungle. You can see that I'm already leading to the values talked about by Laudato Si here in a math unit, but doing it in a way that's natural. And this is the assessment of the action goal. So think of two other actual problems that may be affected by space constraints. One in your home and one in your community. Makitid yung kalye, maliit yung town hall, ang liit-liit nung simbahan, chapel, etc. What space-saving design would you propose? Prove that it would indeed generate space, give an approximation of how much space it would generate, convince your family to adopt your proposal. O pwede natin tanggalin na yung mga convince your family. Hirap no? So this is an example of how it all comes together. Okay. I'll end here. And I hope I gave you ideas about how important reflection and action are and how you might use it for your lessons. And I think, Jed, do we have time for a few questions?
Yes. I know it can be a little overwhelming, okay? But stay with this. We have about 10 minutes. Baka lang po meron kayong mga tanong. If not math related, pwede din pong ibang subjects. I just want you to really use this time because Rita's time is very, very scarce at the moment. And yan, sige, Joseph, go ahead, please.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening po. My question lang ako, ma'am, especially on the formulation of action goals. Meron ba siyang specific formula or sort of pwede ba na, let's say, DepEd competency plus the real-world purpose para mag-lead siya towards authentic performance?
You can say the students need to learn DepEd competency so that in the real world, they will be able to blank.
Sige, ma'am. Thank you po, ma'am. Is it the same po ba, ma'am? Kasi in the context of PAAC, they have this transfer goal po.
Yes, transfer goal and action goal are the same.
Yes. Yeah, confirmation. Thank you po, ma'am.
Ngunit na sila. Nagpa-praise the Lord na sila. May naintindihan daw sila this afternoon.
Transfer goal is the word used in the literature. Action goal is only for Jesuit. But you see, the power of looking at it as an action goal is actually easier to understand when you use the word action rather than transfer. Pero baka meron sa inyong gagawa ng thesis about action goal, transfer goal na lang kasi hindi kayo makagagawa ng related lit kung action goal ang hahanapin ninyo.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sige. Si Ma'am Risa biglang nag-turn on ng kanyang camera. Parang may tanong po kayo, Ma'am. Or kahit ano pong naiisip nyo, kung meron lang kayong gustong sabihin.
Ay, ma'am, yung kanina po kay Sir Jason, yun na po yun.
Actually, Rita, they're very cute kasi most of them are in one room.
I see.
Tama ba? Parang nag-share kayo ng room, di ba? Ayan. Sige, meron pa po ba? 5 minutes?
So you already have your transfer goals. That means now you need to just check it against the prompts. You now just need to check it against the 40, 40, 40. Or against the why is it important? Or use the, like the quiz I gave you. Is it a task? Is it actually a task just for school? Is your transfer goal a task just for school? Maybe you reword it. So meron na kayong transfer goal, meron kayong mga PETA, so check lang. So wala na kayong problema.
Nag-uusap sila, nakakatawa. Tinan mo.
Yes, very good.
Okay, no questions na. Okay, sige. In any case, as you go through the other modules and pag nag-usap-usap kayo, baka biglang may question na dumating, you just please share it with Ma'am Sofia, and then she will text me and we will try to answer it together with Rita kung kailangan pa natin iakyat sa mas mataas na kagalang-galang na katipunera ng karunungan. Okay? So that's what we'll do. Okay? And then, Rita, they're coming on February 12.
Wow!
Maybe
Valentine!
we will try to see if there is a meeting that Rita will be there. I'll inform you so that you can personally also see her. Iba po kasi din na makita siya. No? But for now, let us thank Miss Rita Atienza for
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
I'm sure marami tayong lahat na natutunan. And this is not the end. So Rita, again, thank you so much. I've also learned a lot from the session tonight. So maraming salamat. Okay?
Maraming salamat.
All right. So we shall go? Okay, sige.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Salamat. Good luck. Good luck to everyone. Merry Christmas.
Thank you po.
Christmas po. Maraming salamat.
Tayo, okay ba yun? Let's take one picture. Okay, want your cameras on? Ready? Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye po. Merry
Thank you
Christmas.
po, Ma'am Je.
Thank you.
See you soon.